Hi everyone! I'm guessing you clicked on this video because you thought, what are colloquialisms? This is not a word that we hear too often in day-to-day speech. You're probably more used to the word slang. I like to tell people that the difference between slang and colloquialisms is the age of the person who's actually using the language. So a colloquialism, and it's connected to the word colloquial, or like of the people, amongst the people. These are commonly used words and phrases that come about in informal speech and writing. This is like slang. And again, we, those of us who are a little bit older in age, we may know slang, we may have heard some slang, we probably use the slang of our youth. And that may vary from groovy or cool, which are two words not used anymore, all the way, you know, I guess the least often used rad at one point. That was really good. Anyway, those are slang terms. Colloquialisms include phrasal verbs, but they also include maxims, like if you were to say, you know, well, a bird in the hand. Well, you know, and again, I like to think of colloquialisms in terms of, would someone who's not from this country, this area of the country even, would they understand what a bird in the hand means? Probably not. They're relaxed language. They're language that is common, that if I say a bird in the hand to you, and you get that it's a part of the saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, you get my meaning, and that brings us closer together, because language does a lot to bring us closer together. Unfortunately, as warm and fuzzy as that sounds, colloquialisms really don't belong in formal writing. So one of the fatal flaws of a writer who does not really think about her writing is that you write like you talk for the most part. And really, academic writing takes you releasing who you are a little bit and gaining an academic voice. So your voice when you speak to your friends, your family, even your colleagues is not the same as your voice that you use when you write. Again, the fatal flaw is when you do just use your speaking voice or your talking voice as your writing voice. So here are some examples. You've probably been looking at them as I've been talking. Loads of kids fly through college without working hard. Right off the bat, a lot of students join clubs or start hanging out with friends. Students should know it's perfectly fine to air out their grievances with professors. These probably sound really normal to you. I don't sound like an uneducated person when I use them. So again, these aren't slang terms. These are just common everyday language constructions. Most students think there are careers out there waiting for them, so they do not jump into job searches quickly. Again, I could have said this in a speech and it would have been perfectly acceptable. The kids who come to college party like crazy, but some hole up in their dorm rooms. So I hope you've been listening carefully. Let's see if you can pick out which of these are colloquialisms. And we're going to go through how to fix some of these, because for the most part, a more specific, more academic word is out there, or phrase is out there to replace some of these colloquialisms. So I call it upgrading. So loads of kids fly through college without working hard. So we've got 3 sets of colloquialisms in here. Loads of does not represent a finite or agreed upon amount. A kid is a baby goat. Fly through and working hard are subjective and vague, and let's upgrade the language here. Many students succeed in college without exerting much effort. This is still a really highly generalized sentence, and we can discuss later on that generalization is a logical fallacy in and of itself. A better sentence would have had some sort of research or data connected to it, so we would know exactly how many students claim to not exert much effort, but we're going to not think too deeply about this. This sentence says the same thing as the other sentence, it just does it in a little bit more of an academic way. Again, many is still a generalized term. Terms like many or much or few or some, those are okay words to have in research, but really if you're providing an academic knowing perspective of something, it's better to have specific amounts, or at least researchers to back up your summarization of many. Fly through, we can just say succeed. Working hard, you're replacing it with a phrase exerting much effort, and this again, it maintains the integrity of meaning. So we're not saying that you have to change entirely what you're saying. It's really how you say it. Right off the bat, a lot of students join clubs or start hanging out with friends. Right off the bat, it's a sports metaphor. A lot. Now this is actually, a lot used to be a form of measurement that was used. You could get a lot of something. It's connected, in actually the British still use it, and actually in auctions you can get a lot, or there's lot number 55 and it's, this painting behind me. It's used somewhere, but we have colloquialized it, for lack of a better term. We have made it a unit of measurement that means, the majority of or many. So again, maintain the integrity of the sentence. From the time they begin college, most students join clubs or spend time with their friends. Again, hanging out, now this is something that began as a slang term, but it's been adopted pretty widely and is used colloquial. I've heard people of all age use it in all situations, but here, spend time with becomes a little bit more specific. Perfectly fine is a redundancy. And air out is again an idiom, and it's connected to laundry, right? That you're airing out, you're taking some of the musty smells and releasing them into the ether. This again, you're keeping the integrity. Instead of perfectly fine, that redundant colloquialism, you're saying acceptable. And then air out, it might just be discuss. Grievances with professors. Most students think there are careers out there waiting for them, so they do not jump into job searches quickly. So out there is a non-specific geographical phrase. Reification is waiting for them, and jump into is an idiom that connotes movement. So most students contend that careers are widely available to them, so they do not begin job searches quickly. So again, I've replaced think with contend. Now think is a fine colloquialism. We do, however, use think in a variety of ways that are non-standard, which could be connected to colloquialisms. So think obviously connotes that you're using your brain to do something, but sometimes we use it as a way to express an opinion as opposed to, or even a fact, like I think it's warm in here. Well, if it is generally warm in this room, it's a fact, not necessarily an opinion, or not necessarily expressing a thought, so to speak. Contend is a little bit more of a specific academic word. Kids who come to college party like crazy, but some hole up in their dorms. Again, we've got the baby goats going on. Party like crazy is nearly slang. Sometimes, there may be some of you out there who are watching who never use that. Hole up is kind of about a hibernation. So the young adults, children, not so much, but young adults who come to college frequently go to parties, but some stay in their dorm rooms. Again, we're doing a little bit of everything, changing out these colloquialisms. So if you have issues, or if you find yourself having trouble gaining your academic voice, sometimes just looking at the sentence level words that you're using can really do a lot to improve how you sound in an essay. And this is something that, if you struggle with finding the right words, the Writing Center can really help you work through some of these constructions that are a little bit more informal. So you can check them out. They're here at Writing Center at wku.edu, in Cherry Hall, and at Glasgow, and also online. Thanks.